Good afternoon, everybody. Excited to be back in game week. It had a good off week. We're able to get a number of things done, practice the young guys quite a bit. We're able to get some guys that had been practicing and playing all the time, a little bit of rest. But excited to get back into a routine of playing games for the next few weeks. And that's probably been the hardest thing, is just making sure that we have a great schedule and the guys are staying fresh, but also having the opportunity to continue to improve on a daily basis. And we know that we're going to have a really good Kansas team coming in here, and rivalry week is always big, and it means an awful lot to our players, means a ton to the fan base, to the alumni, and we're excited for the opportunity on Saturday.
Okay, we'll start here with Kellis.
Hey, Chris, it seems to me that for a guy like Will Howard, practice would be super important right now. How did you use the bye week to help him develop, and have you seen him improve in the past couple of days?
Yeah, we did. We worked with Will. We worked with Nick Oss. We worked with Jaron Lewis. Because Jaron and Nick hadn't had a ton of snaps either. So we worked all three of those guys and split a lot of those reps. And Jaron needed them more than anybody because he hadn't had some reps because he'd missed some time. But, we gave Will a lot of different pictures from our defense. We didn't spend a ton of time truly on game planning on either side of the ball, mainly because we just wanted to get back to fundamentals and techniques and all across the board, not just at the quarterback position because of all the things we talked about, missing so much time in camp. But I know that Will and all the quarterbacks hopefully improved and got a number of pictures.
How do you personally grade the performance of a true freshman quarterback? What do you look at each week to see improvement?
How calm he is, that he doesn't get ahead of himself, that he's relaxed but under control, seeing things and not guessing what he's seeing, but truly seeing them. I've had the opportunity to sit with the quarterbacks during the morning when Coach Klein is in meetings with Coach Mess and the offensive staff, just to pick their brain, and they picked my brain, and it's been good just to see how much knowledge that those three guys have and continue to gain it, and know that they haven't arrived, know that they have so much work to do. And this is a tough thing for a young player or an inexperienced player to come in at quarterback, but we have to do a great job as a coaching staff making it manageable for them too.
And one more for me. Thanks for these answers. You got a guy who's in a bit of a slump like Malik Knowles. What can you guys do as a coaching staff to pump up his confidence and get him going?
Well, got to get him some throws probably, and maybe get him an easy catch early on during the game. And you just don't know how it's ever gonna go on a week-to-week basis based on where the coverage is going and what kind of pressures they're showing, or are we able to have success running the football or throwing it to the slot receiver or tight ends and backs. It just know that your number is going to be called at some time, and you just have to continue to practice hard every day, and when those opportunities come, make the most of them.
David Smale.
Hey, Coach. You talked about it being rivalry week. There's some who would say that it's not a rivalry. You've won 11 straight, 24 to 29. What are your thoughts about the rivalry with Kansas?
I think it's a big rivalry, and obviously I've only been here for 1 year, but for the state of Kansas, it's a big deal. For those kids from Missouri, it's a big deal. And so many of our guys know a lot of players and stuff on their team. And absolutely, anytime that you have teams from the same state going against each other at any level, and now you throw in the Big 12 Power 5, I think it's a big deal. I know it is. Our kids and our alums and our fan base and the community in the state, this is a big game. And so our guys are excited for the opportunity.
Thank you.
You bet.
Fitz.
Hey, Coach. We spoke a little bit yesterday, but I didn't get a chance to ask you about the receivers, so kind of follow up on what Kellis said. The receivers haven't been productive. How concerning was that as you walked into or headed into this off week, and have you seen any progress from that unit?
Yeah, and every game's different, we didn't have very many plays against TCU. We just weren't able to get a rhythm and sustain some drives. And so and they play such a tight defense and great coverage. But it's something that we talk about on a daily basis with our staff, and trying to find ways to get them more involved, whether maybe it's on some jet sweeps or reverses, whatever it may be, trying to get as many guys involved as we can. We also have really good tight ends. Nick hasn't caught many balls. Sammy hasn't caught many balls, but we have a bunch of those guys. Running backs, we got to find the ways to get the ball a little bit to Harry and to Tyler. And so it's a better problem to have in the fact that we know we're going to continue to improve and get better.
You mentioned a couple of times that the off week was also a good chance to work some of these freshmen that haven't seen time along with the guys that have been out. But are there any true freshmen or maybe redshirt freshmen that haven't played a lot that are stepping up and might be nearing getting on the field?
Well, I thought Jaron Lewis had a really good week. And he's a guy that, he was down for a while and missed a few weeks. And that's probably where Will jumped ahead of him during the fall camp. And then we lose Skylar, and so we have to find another guy. Nick's done a really good job, so we gave Jaron a bunch of reps. And Jaron's a young player that hasn't really had an opportunity for a variety of reasons, and so I think he got a lot better. It was good for us to get Cooper Beebe back this week, so Cooper will be back in the fold playing, and so getting Cooper kind of back up to speed, so to speak. Keon Mosey continues to do some really good things. He gets overshadowed a little bit by Deuce. But he's a really talented player that continues to improve.
I feel like I've asked this before, but is he a guy that you might look at taking some snaps at receiver to kind of get him in the slot and get him the ball?
You're talking Keon?
Yeah.
Yeah, potentially. Just trying to spoon feed him in small doses, being a young player. But we have a lot of 2 and 3 back sets where he's been in the game, and whether or not we move he or Deuce or any of our running backs around and put him in the slot or motion him back in, all those things are on the table, you bet.
And finally, one last thing. Just when you can't think this year can't get any more weird, Puka Williams leaves KU leading up to this game. Your thoughts on that in general, Puka departing in the midseason like that?
Yeah, chalk it up to 2020. It's so difficult right now, and I hope his family's doing well. I know that was one of the reasons. Oftentimes, it galvanizes a football team when somebody leaves. We didn't have Skylar Thompson for TCU, and I think our team really came together. And so, KU is going to show up and play no matter what, and they're going to give us their best effort for sure.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
John?
Yeah, Chris was going to follow up on Malik. Is he totally healthy right now? Are you feeling good about where he's at as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, he missed some time during the open week with an injury, but practiced on Saturday, full go, and then practiced yesterday. Although we had a short practice, he practiced yesterday. So I envision him being healthy and available.
And with this game, Kansas obviously has had their struggles. Do you feel like you have to fight any kind of worry about the team overlooking a team like this that has struggled like they have?
No, we're not good enough to overlook anybody. Our kids know that. Our guys got to play their tails off to have an opportunity and to continue to prepare. And when we prepare really well, we put a good product out on the field. When we don't prepare as well, we don't put as good a product out on the field. And our guys know that this game is, it's so difficult, and it's hard to win college football games. And you don't win college football games on Saturday. I think you win them Monday through Friday. So our preparation has to have great focus, great energy, and the guys got to be really locked in this week.
You won this game last year. Did you feel like that's had an impact on the recruiting trail for you? How important do you feel like this game is in that aspect?
I think they all are, without question. You get in-state kids or local guys or regional guys. I think it's not just this game, but there's other games as well that impact your regional recruiting. And so, you can't think of that when you're putting together your game plan and playing. But, I think it's important for us to focus on the task at hand and not all the outside noise and outside auxiliary things that come with this game. Our focus has to be on executing our game plans on offense, defense, and teams.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thanks.
You bet.
Karen?
Coach, a little more on Puka. When you prepare for KU, how different do you prepare for that offense without a player like him?
Well, that'll be the interesting thing to see, because they haven't been without him for very many games. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I think they're going to do what they still do. Dynamic players missing, just like when we didn't have Skylar, a dynamic player was missing. And so I think you still have to have your identity of who you are. And they have plenty of players. They have really good skill kids. I've been impressed with all their wide receivers. I think the running backs are good. They run hard. They're physical. Quarterbacks are athletic. So once again, so many people put so much emphasis on what one player can do for a football team. Holy cow. You better have all 11 executing at a high level to be successful on offense and defense.
And Coach, just one more thing on Skylar. You mentioned the last time we spoke with you that you were going to talk to him about how he could stay actively involved. Has he talked to you about that a little bit more now that, he's a little further from this injury?
Yeah, he came back on Monday. We had a really good conversation, and excited about helping the quarterbacks. And he was at practice yesterday, and it was good. I just told him those guys need his help. He sees the field really well. He sees the game. It's slowed down for him as he's played, and so he'll be a great help to those guys throughout the weekend on game day.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
Max?
Coach, when your staff, you think back when your staff asked you to make an evaluation on Deuce Vaughn, do you remember watching the tape and I guess how quickly you formed an impression?
About 4 snaps. And we said, okay, that kid can play in the Big 12 and be an impact guy. Then you have one conversation with him and you say, okay, he has that it factor. He's mature beyond his years. He's got his priorities in check, and he loved the game of football. You can just tell watching the kid play how much he loves to play. And so it did not take us long for us to decide that he would be an exceptional football player here.
When you have a kid with that kind of work ethic combined with the personality, what can that do for the culture of your football program?
Well, he's a true freshman that's playing an awful lot, but he still goes to the developmental lift with all his other classmates. So does Will Howard. I think that tells you an awful lot right there, that we need to have him make an impact, as well as Will, on that freshman class. And for him to be able to go and lift with those guys and see that there's work ethic as well as a really good ability to play, I think that helps. And without question, he's going to be somebody that we lean on heavily from a leadership standpoint throughout his career.
Thanks.
You bet.
Mitchell?
Hey, Coach. So far this year, there have been 3 different starting quarterbacks for KU. Still kind of muddled going in this week, but it might be the freshman, Jalen Daniels. What do you make out of that, whoever is going to be starting under center?
Well, I'm not sure who they're going to play. That's not my worry. We just have to prepare and try to watch whatever film we have on all 3 players, and know that their coaching staff is a good coaching staff. They're going to put them in position to be successful, and we may have to adapt and adjust as the game goes to what they're trying to hang their hat on. But I know they have a really good offensive staff that is going to put them in positions to be successful.
Of course, a lot of attention has gone to Puka Williams, justifiably, but their backup, Belton Gardner, is actually leading the team in rushing yardage right now. What kind of things are you expecting to see out of him on the game day?
I see him carrying the ball an awful lot. You're right. He's a leading rusher, and I think he's an exceptional football player. Great downhill runner, has the ability to make you miss. Doesn't get brought down with arm tackles. Been impressed with him, and that's where I know that you take a good player out of the mix, but it's going to give him more opportunities, and he'll be a focal point of their offense. And we have to do a great job of trying to slow him down because he's a really talented player.
And one final question. Last week, did you notice some defensive improvements from KU? Because that game against West Virginia was a 1-score game up until the majority of the way through the third quarter.
Well, I have not watched the game as it goes. We were practicing during the time of their game because we needed to focus on us. And then I've seen them through cut-ups. And so we don't see it as the game goes, or I haven't seen it as the game has gone yet. But obviously they were off to a 10-0 lead, 10-0 lead, and we're doing some really good things on defense. And they've got talent on that side of the ball, and so we're going to have our hands full with their game plans offensively and defensively, and we have to have great execution. Cannot turn the football over and can't give up explosive plays. That's the formula. No matter who you're playing, to have success is you hang on to the football and you keep them from explosive plays.
Thanks, Coach.
You bet.
Okay, we got time for these last three raised hands, starting with Sully.
Hey, Coach, not sure if you saw the Chiefs game yesterday, but obviously near the end of the game, kind of put it away. Byron Pringle had a really big catch, and after the game, Andy Reid said, it's great for us and also great for K-State recruiting. Just want to get your thoughts on that, if you agree with that statement.
Hey, thanks, Coach Reid. I didn't see the game. We were out of practice, but obviously Taylor Bratt was all over it, and I saw it after early in the evening. I saw that. Thanks, Coach Reid, and great job by Byron Pringle, and absolutely that it's a great help for us. We'll take that help anytime we can get it.
Cool. Thanks, Coach.
Kellis?
Chris, it seems to me a lot of the guys that you are starting and playing a bunch in the secondary right now are kind of thrust into action initially against Oklahoma, just kind of out of necessity when all the COVID stuff happened. It's a kind of funny thinking back that it's been kind of a weird side effect that you've had to piece together some lineups and actually found some good things because of all this?
Without question, it's really helped. Echo Boydo's played really good football for us. Excited for him because he's waited his time. He has not had an opportunity. Just continued to work hard through a lot of different scenarios. He was able to get an opportunity and make the most of it. Justin Gardner's done some really good things. We were counting on Justin because we brought him in as a junior college transfer, but he missed all of spring ball. So you just don't pick up our system that quickly. And then he was thrust into a role and has played well. And then T. Denson's done some good things as a true freshman. And Keandre Thomas, as a transfer from Minnesota, has missed significant time, and he's back. So it has helped us getting those guys the experience and excited of how those guys are playing. I think Coach Malone and Coach Klieman do a great job of emphasizing those guys' strengths, and they're playing hard.
Last one here, Ryan Black.
Hey, Chris, I asked Colin last week, just, after the injury to Skylar, maybe whether that would mean, that you guys somewhat shake up the depth chart just in terms of maybe giving Jaron more backup reps. And he was like, Ryan, the 1 and 2 spots are pretty established, but you mentioning that Jaron standing out so much last week, I guess how resilient can you say that he is? Because I know that can't be easy for a guy like him who's a redshirt freshman, and then to see Will Howard come as a true freshman and leap him on the depth chart, especially because quarterback's not a position where you get the kind of rotations that you would at receiver or defensive line or things like that.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with Jaron, and once again, this goes back to the fall camp phase, and we can't talk about all the things, but he missed significant time, and that's just hard when you're a new player that missed all of spring ball. And I know he's here as a true freshman, but you're just trying to survive your true freshman year. And he saw Will doing some really good things. And he said, you know what, I'm going to learn this because I'm not far away from taking a snap. And whether it's injury, whether it's COVID, you better continue at all positions, in particular quarterback, continue to rep guys and give guys opportunities because you never know when your number is going to be called. Take Echo Boydo. He didn't think his number was going to be called. Now he's a starting corner for us and playing at a high level. So we will continue even as we get into game prep of taking time every day at practice for young players or guys that haven't played yet and setting that time aside and saying, hey, it's just K-State offense versus K-State defense, and you guys go play because your number is going to be called sometime this year.